I just wanted to come on to share with you some things that have been happening, which I know you all know during this pandemic, what is happening. Almost 15 million people are currently unemployed, and a lot of questions on, am I still able to find a job? And so I wanted to come on and give you some tips, as there are some tips in my book, but I just wanted to share with you some things that have been on my mind of ways that you can still network and get employed during this pandemic. So when I wrote A Brown Girl's Guide to Employment and Network back in 2019, honestly, I had no idea that we would be in this type of crisis where we have 15 million people on unemployment. Go through some tips that are currently in my book. First of all, you can still network with people. Do not think that you cannot network with people. How do you do this? You go on LinkedIn, you go on Facebook, you find groups that represent the industry that you want to get into. So let's just say I was looking to get into, the grooming industry, a pet grooming industry. I would go on LinkedIn and see people that are currently working with pets or maybe veterinarians, and I would just start joining their group, start talking to them. I would email people. Hi, can I talk to you about what you do? And then go from there, develop relationships. Now I realize we can't go out, some of us in the country, as we are under a shelter in place, but you can still do Zoom calls with people asking what they do. You can ask them what some of the plans for, come the winters, anything that you can volunteer at. Are you able to develop websites? Maybe you can help them develop a website, get some information out. So there is still ways that you can, network with people. Ask them, what do they feel like is the temperature of the industry right now? Is this a good time to ask for a promotion? Is this a good time to, upskill themselves? There's many different things that you can do. Then there's some of you who, are on unemployment, and especially if you live in Massachusetts, Massachusetts pays the highest unemployment rate of all the 50 states. And then when you get the federal benefits, some people are getting an extra $600 per week. So they feel okay being, unemployed, and they're thinking, is there something else that I could be doing? Is there something else that I could upskill? Can I take an online course? Because I do have this time where I can't go anywhere, I'm able to collect unemployment, so I'm at peace with paying my bills. I'm healthy. What is there to do? And sometimes you just really need to reflect on that. And so in my book, on page 6, there is room for that. And, on page 6 of my book, it says, where do I truly see myself? And if you see it, I'll bring it up to the camera. You can see that you can write in here. And I think it's important that as you have this downtime and as you're thinking, you know what, I love my job, but I really would like to do something better, or I really would like to switch into an industry, this is a good job on page 6 to write, how are you feeling? What's your reflection point? What is the skill that you want to learn, or the skill that you want to build to get a stackable credential? And so, it's not just about being unemployed and just waiting for your job to call you back if, you've been furloughed. It really is this time of, am I in the correct job that I want to be in? Is there something that I could be doing to add on to my credential while I'm sitting here so it can get me into the industry that I'm seeking to get into? So then you say, okay, how do I do this? There are so many free career tests online. You can just go, and if you punch in, career tests, there's so many of them out there, and they'll ask you a few questions. What's your interest? Are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? Do you like to be in loud situations? Do you like to be in, small environments? Are you a team builder? There's so many different career tests out there that you can take and will help you think about, really where you should be. Several years ago, I took a Myers-Briggs test, and it came up the code of ESTP, introvert, sensing, thinking, perceiving. And really, even though it came up, did I say introvert? Even though it came up, I think I said extrovert, but even though it came up as an extrovert, I'm a very low E. I like to be in, work environments that are quiet, where I don't necessarily have to say a lot or talk to a lot of people. But then at times, I do want to go talk to a coworker or, ask them what's going on. So it's just important that take a career test, see what happens. And some of you might be saying, oh, Tamika, I took a career test 10 years ago. But you know what? Things change. So take another one. See what happens. See what interests you can find that now you may want to do. Okay, so once you did the reflection on page 6, on page 9 of my book, it says, what did my career inventory test indicate? Was there any surprises? This is the time for you to write that down. Really see, what was there anything that surprised you? Did you think you were an introvert, but really you're an extrovert? So that's when you really want to think about, what was the surprises? What did it reveal about me that maybe I didn't know 10 years ago? And how can I apply that to a job that I'm trying to get into? And a lot of the career tests will tell you, based on what has come out of your test, you would fit into, and it gives the type of job. So things like that will really help you during this pandemic, reflect, do the career test, see what's in there, and see if there's any surprises. And maybe there's something that, came out of the test that you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, when I was a child, I remember I always wanted to be this, or I always wanted, to do that. And I think that will really help you. And then once that happens, it's just important that your resume is always ready to go. So, there's nothing worse than when someone calls me, for a job and they're asking, did you hear anything? And then I call them 2 days later and I'll say, oh my gosh, someone emailed me, they say they have this job opening, send me a resume. And then you hear, crickets on the other end of the line. And it's like, ugh. You have been searching for a job and your resume is still not ready. Please do not go to someone and say, just want to let you know that I'm trying to find a job. Can you help me? And your resume is not ready. Now, again, I know different job descriptions need to be tailored to the job. However, when you are trying to move quickly and you want someone just to get on someone's, radar, again, you want to make sure that your resume is done. And I mentioned this on a webinar last week. Nepotism is not a bad thing. It's just that we sometimes do not know how to use it. And networking is nepotism, because if I know you and I know that you have a great work record and someone says, do you know, someone that can do, the type job A, yes, I do. I'm going to say, yes, I do. That's nepotism. And they don't have to use an online jobs board, which might cost them money, or they don't have to put an ad, in a magazine. So nepotism is a good thing. That's why I encourage networking from the start of this webinar. I want you to get out there and network, but we're talking about resumes right now. So it's just important that your resume is up to date. And think about it. Remember the career test we talked about? Is there any skills that you can transfer to the next industry? Because you can talk about that on your resume. You can bring that out. Everything you do, whatever skills that you're gaining out there, whatever credentials you're gaining, a lot of it is, unless it's like a technical degree, it's transferable. It's definitely transferable. So you have to think, that everything that I'm learning, everything I'm doing, it is transferable to another industry. And it's just important that you know that and have the confidence of that. Because if you don't, then when someone says to you, I have, job A open, then you're going to say, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And that's not how it's supposed to be done. Okay, so again, it's just important that your resume is correct. And when someone is asking for your resume, that you are ready. And, you're not going to say to them, oh, I don't know if I can do that job. If someone calls you up and says, I need your resume, I want you to say, yes, it's ready. Here it is. And don't think about, a lot of times when I call someone up and I know they have the skills, I know they have the credential, but they're just scared because, maybe they've never managed somebody. And it's just important that you are able to want to try new things if that opportunity is available to you. So it's just important that when someone calls you and says, I know someone that's hiring, don't get discouraged because you can't do 100% of the job. Everything is transferable, all the skills that you have, as well as when you get there, they're going to train you anyway. So I just wanted to, share with you, give you some encouragement, keep going. You can always email me with questions, drtjacques@gmail.com. Listen, if you're watching me on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I definitely will give you more tips each week. I hope you have a great day. And again, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Have a good day. Bye-bye.